You are listening to rudolfsteineraudio.com. As well, you can hear these podcasts at rudolfsteiner.podbean.com. Please consider becoming a patron. There are two publishing houses, steinerbooks.org in America and rudolfsteinerpress.com in England, which are the sole publishers of Steiner into English and have given me permission to do these recordings. Please consider patronizing them as well. This is a reading of Collected Works, Volume 98 by Rudolf Steiner, the Listener's Notes to 18 Lectures, entitled Nature and Spirit Beings, Their Activity in Our Visible World, translated by Christian von Arnim. This is the last lecture. Really, it's just an appendix, very short, given in Hanover on the 24th of February, 1908. Brief notes, beings that influence the human being. Again, the last lecture of this set of lectures, Lecture 18. There are many beings who extend their activity from afar to our physical earth, as if they had infinitely long tentacles. The clairvoyant meets a large number of beings on the astral plane, who are group souls, and whose effects go around the earth like trade winds. A glowing light runs along the spinal cord of the animals, and its flow is connected to the group soul. Spiritual beings interpenetrate each other. For spiritual perception, it is not surprising that the group souls of the plants are in the center of the earth. The human being is also connected with the center of the earth through their etheric body. Although plants have only an etheric body, the glowing light of the astral element plays around the bud and flower. The etheric body has the principle of repetition. It would just sprout leaves forever. This influence is interrupted by the astral body, which produces the changes. Wherever we have hair, the etheric body prevails. The group souls of animals are such that we can communicate with them, and the highest possess qualities which are in part higher than those of low types of human individuals. The human blood is influenced by other beings from those that influence the lymph, which is a fluid, like the white blood cells. Others act on the nutritional fluid, the chyle, others on the sensory organs. The chyle forces, for example, give the fatty substances from the food pulp to the blood, the protein-containing ones to the lymph. Mental and physical health depends on the activity of the spiritual beings, which regulate these forces. The moon beings have a subtle physical body and resemble 6 to 7-year-old children in shape. Their actions are mostly harmful to us, but these pygmies act unconsciously. They are known as roarers. Their sounds are heard far beyond the moon. Their activity is strongest at the time of the full moon. They are particularly attracted to the vicinity of mental asylums, as well as to spiritualistic mediums. If human beings were masters of their blood, as they should be, and as they are called to be, the moon beings could not harm them. Venus is home to beings whose thoughtful speech indicates high logic, whose countenance reflects high morals. But there are also those there with predatory desires, and all possible intermediate stages from gentle to wild. When the inhabitants of the earth have accepted Christianity, and a united fraternal bond spans the earth in ever-widening circles, then they will draw near to the Venus beings. These act upon our nutritional fluids. Food is not only chemical production, but at the same time it draws spiritual power through the throat. The way that they influence the plants reflects the work of these mysterious beings and forces. Each plant thrives only under certain conditions, so that certain human types, communities, and peoples can form according to the soil. We always receive spiritual impressions with the sensory impressions, spiritual currents through sound, as well as through the image. Through smell, the actions of spiritual beings flow through our senses in the most violent way. Their abode is in the upper Devachan. History can prove what an important role is played by smell, what intrigues have been spun through it. Musk and patchouli, for example, are smells harmful to the human being. These beings have their physical body on Saturn. They lack thinking in our sense through the brain, but they are born inventors. They love progress and continually turn everything upside down on their abode. Our conservatives would be utterly terrified of them. The people who possess quick-wittedness and presence of mind have something of their nature. The smells we surround ourselves with and which we love are not at all a matter of indifference. What can be instigated through harmful smells belongs to the field of black magic. It is necessary to cultivate the good smells. Human beings are exposed to the influences of the many forces and are as blind to them as a mole. People only ever become aware of part of reality, but this reality concerns us. We must have strong impulses as to how to get away from the realm of harmful demons. The human being resembles the rainbow with its 7 colors. The physical body is actually an optical illusion. It is an amalgamation of spiritual activities which intersect in it 1,000 times and produce the most manifold effects. And there's a picture. Intersections are the physical body. When the sun disappears, the rainbow is gone. When the spiritual forces withdraw, the human being is dead. Reality is to be sought in the spiritual facts. These have true reality. What we see is the revelation of spiritual activity. The whole weight of the facts should cause us to let the good beings work, to drive out the demonic ones. We are dealing with 4 beings which act on the eye, capital, through the blood, the lymph, in the chyle through the nutritional fluids, and through the sensory currents. In order to protect ourselves against the powers of the moon that harm us, we must above all strive for an attitude of independence. Free inner soul forces have a purifying effect on the blood. Thus, the moon beings cannot harm us. We approach the Mars forces acting on the lymph in a good way through clear thoughts. Diseases can be an outflow of uncontrolled spiteful thinking. Through such thoughts, the human being harms the world around them. Through clear thoughts, the human being promotes general health. Therefore, it is of utmost importance for us always to be collected and practice good, clear thoughts. Noble feelings should ensole us with regard to the Venus beings who have an effect on the chyle fluid, and sincere intentions determine the sensory and nervous currents on which the inhabitants of Saturn have an influence. Honesty in thinking, a listening attitude, keep away evil influences. The moon beings work instinctively, the Mars beings consciously by degrees. The Venus beings are eminently highly spiritual, the bad ones, on the other hand, unconscious. The human being consciously and unconsciously influences all other beings. We must strive to become increasingly more conscious. Thus we can make stars shine. Thus the star of Bethlehem shone forth when the mighty individuality of Jesus was consciously incarnated. It is a cosmic event when such high human beings are born. Initiates know that when the word Yahweh is composed in a particular way, worlds can collapse. The human being would not become so strong if they did not have to overcome evil. That is the end of what I am calling Lecture 18, which is this short appendix, and this is the end of the book. Collected Works, Volume 98. These 18 lectures entitled Nature and Spirit Beings, Their Activity in Our Visible World, translated by Christian von Arnim.